As previously promised, I will now listen with you guys to the same segment. And the channel is still Reporter Room. And Reporter Room reporting on the Web Sleuth interview. And I'm doing this because, well, I don't know, is the Web Sleuth interview still up? I don't know. Videos keep disappearing, and I find part of their part of these interviews on other channels that are leaving comments. So yes, there are comments, of course, from the people who conduct the interviews, but there are also comments from the people that are commenting on them. And let me see what we can get to now.
You very much. Seth, what would you like to say now?
I got a few questions to ask Chris.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, he can hear you.
Hey, Chris. So why did you...
So now Seth calls in and he has a few questions for Chris. And you can hear it's getting tense already because Chris is like, oh. I still say that Chris and Katie got something on Seth. Because otherwise I think he would have reacted very differently from the very beginning. But that's just me.
You texted me the other day about something I'd already sent Katie an email. Say it one more time. All I heard was something about the email Seth. Why did you text me about an email I sent on Monday to Katie? Because I didn't see the information in what you're referring to as Tony Mathis's phone number. I didn't see it.
And I believe Tony Mathesis is the person that Seth wants to hire for the spokesperson, just to clarify. The only reason I know this is I watched the whole interview.
Oh, I asked for it. I mean, come on, Chris. We're going to work together more than a week communication between the people that I'm sending stuff to you and Katie. Okay, so hear me out. I told you.
Okay.
I told
Let's
you
come
Seth,
into
we
talk,
will work
okay?
together. All right. I explained to you I'm willing to work with you. You asked me some questions in regard to this dog handler.
Oh, yeah.
You've asked me questions in regards to going on a social media platform. You've asked me questions about hiring a PR person.
So that dog handler, I think, is Jules. And she started out well with Chris. She was in the military, and so Chris was like, yeah, we're like brothers and sisters. But then, according to her, as soon as she mentioned that her dogs are so strong they can smell through concrete. She's working with cadaver dogs as well, and they can actually find a dead body through concrete. Now, it doesn't mean Sebastian is under concrete, but it means after this conversation, Chris decided he wasn't going to give her access to his property, the Bauer Soxes, anything. So I've talked to her only a little bit, but it is my understanding that all of a sudden Chris got scared because he tried to sell everybody this, narrative that the dogs are not that strong and they're only 25% accurate, but she told me they're between, I think, 96 and 98% accurate or something like that, depending on whether it's a search dog, a tracking dog, or a cadaver dog. So that's pretty damn accurate. And all of a sudden, Chris backed out and he got scared. So he talked a good game before. And when he feels secure, he talks a very, very good game, as he is doing right now, of course. And he feels that law enforcement is completely stuck. They cannot do anything. Everything is, but It is the same way when somebody asks, what exactly were the accusations that caused CPS to visit your house? And he immediately backs off. So he is the type of person that will be very confident, stand his ground, and all of a sudden, oh my God, okay, that's it. He will either scream and try to yell people down, or he will run away, or he will say, I cannot talk about this. Basically, he's a black and white kind of guy.
That will speak for all of us and keep everybody off of these platforms. That's what you asked. Now, if you think I'm not going to do my homework and dig into people and find out who they are first, you're crazy. Because I would expect you to do the exact same thing if I gave you a name.
What's wrong with Jules? I know they tried to slander her, but I don't see anything, any actual accusation against her that even close to stuck. So Chris is scared of her. Chris is now scared of the cadaver dogs. Chris is scared that she will figure out actually where we need to look. And in my opinion, it is the properties of the Bowersoxes, their property, and all of their cars, especially their cars. Any vehicles they may have had access to, especially whatever vehicle pulled up at 3 a.m. That, in my opinion, was the vehicle that transported Sebastian's likely deceased body away from the property of the Proudfoots. What the hell?
So Seth loses his connection here. But let me just, so I'm just going to hop forward a little bit because Trish is going to ask Chris about the search dogs.
Interesting.
And whether they searched inside the house. So let me just hop a little bit around here. So you guys can just get the meat and the potatoes on this.
The meat and the potatoes, baby. I don't like potatoes.
Better for him to call me rather than to jump on one.
Texting him.
Okay,
Seth loses his connection, but he's going to come back.
we can do that. So, hey guys, I don't want to talk about other creators in chat, so let's not do that, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Agree. And ditto here, guys. Ditto here.
When you have a trashy channel, you're gonna have trashy conversations.
yeah, let's just. I mean, I don't want to give them any.
Right. So let's get to our next question.
Okay, next question. Let me take a look at my notes. Yeah, because I just wrote some things down.
They must be amazing notes.
Have you had? And I may have asked this and I forgot, Chris. My mind is.
Sure, you may have already asked it, but you're running out of questions. I know.
Is sometimes mush. Have you had search dogs inside the house and outside?
Yes, on my head. Yes, I'm sure.
And what did the dogs hit outside?
So, as you know, if anybody has followed Mr. Gray's, what he was talking about, the dog and the trail.
No, I didn't, and I don't want to. I want to hear it from you.
The scent and the overlay on the picture. So, there anywhere from 13 to 18 different dogs have been involved in this search.
Mm-hmm.
On day one, there was 5 dogs. 5. There's an audio dispatch tape that's been released. I don't know who released it. Whatever, I don't have it, but you'd have to dig it and find it. In that audio tape, you actually hear that the deputy sheriff does state that the dog hints toward a scent and takes over off to the retention pond and the construction site next door.
Okay.
Now, other
next
dogs
door
did the exact same thing.
Mm.
Now, am I going to say every single dog? No, but I do know of at least 3 dogs that went on the same scent trail, same path. The rest of the dogs, I'm not going to tell you that they are 100% honest and perfect and accurate because honestly, dogs are only probably 25% reliable
False.
when it comes to a scent.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, 8 days, I've had dogs in my house the first 8 days. Into my house, outside my house, around the neighborhood. So, yeah.
So they've been there, and yeah, so they did. You're saying they did hit, and they all went to that pond.
No, that's not what he said, you idiot.
I just told you.
Jesus.
I've had 13 to 18.
Jesus Christ. Those web sleuth people, are they all actually private investigators? Because they are really hard to listen to, these people. Really hard. And they say one stupid thing after the other, and they don't even listen correctly. And from the very beginning, when I first heard them, and it was around the time when Seth fired them. And again, my question is, how did he get to meet those people? And it is a dude on Twitter who allegedly gotten them, a private investigator who gotten them in touch. And you gotta wonder, when people block you that you never had any interaction with, what actually, that happened quite a bit to me. This person actually I responded to one time with a question and got blocked immediately. Bird stacks something. Bird stacks or something like that. Allegedly, I don't know. I don't remember his name, of course. And supposedly a friend with Fisher and friend of Fisher's. But all of this is really, really weird. And Chris Proudfoot calls people, if they're stupid, he feels comfortable with them. It gives him the opportunity to put them in their place. And honestly, how can these people get hired by anybody? Their conversations are just the worst of the worst. But I want to get to Seth.
Say all that. I just told you. I've had 13 to 18 dogs in my house or around my house. I told you 3 different dogs get on the same path that go to that retention pond.
Right.
That's what I say to every other dog.
Not every dog, but some dogs hit. Okay.
Right. So, but I want this to be crystal clear.
Okay.
So when people say every dog, that is not the case. 3 dogs went on the same path.
You said it,
Okay.
yes.
That is all that we have on that. The rest of these dogs go in different directions.
So I think that kind of clears up the confusion, and this was what I was trying to share with you guys in the last couple of live streams. These questions kept coming up about the dogs didn't give a scent. The dogs did give a scent. I think some of the dogs, and Chris Proudfoot's confirming it here, 3 of the dogs of the 18 or so dogs with handled by different search teams. So we had different search teams. Did hit on some kind of a scent, and they took it to that pond, and that's the pond that was drained and empty. But Chris Proudfoot cannot get out of his own way on this. Listen to this.
But it's all unreliable.
How you know?
Understood. We do have a question from Michelle. Chris, was Ellie able to go in and search the cave they said had collapsed about 10 feet in? I haven't heard this.
Okay, so Ken Wagner is the EMA director for Sumner County. They called in all kinds of stuff, got layouts from where these caves were. I don't believe, and I'm not telling you by the gospel, I don't believe they were able to get into certain caves because they were not safe to enter. The one that she is referring to that collapsed, honestly, we know that the one collapsed, but we don't believe they had anything to it.
Got it. Okay, so that answers the questions about the caves. One collapsed, so they couldn't get into it, and they searched the ones that were safe, but some of them were not safe to search. So that's the questions that I've seen coming up about the caves. Next, Seth is going to come.
Yes, commercial. One moment. Please, I thought you're not monetized.
เดินทางกับครอบครัวเพื่อนรัก4ขาจองโรงแรมและบ้านพักถูกใจกว่า5 ล้านแห่งกับ Agoda.
So that's the questions I've seen coming up about the caves. Next, Seth is going to come back on. He's going to come on Trisha's phone. Just going to take you to that.
All right. Come on, Seth.
And Greg Hughes has popped out.
Good.
Katie and I, are not going to have some big, massive search party following us around with a bunch of people that were already threatened death threats, by the way, to us.
Wait. What was that?
On my property, who I don't know Adam said. But Katie and I, are not going to have some big, massive search party following us around with a bunch of people that were already threatened death threats, by the way, to us. On my property, who I don't know Adam from Eve, and I really don't care.
Did Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot honestly receive death threats? I mean, is there proof? I mean, Terry Bowersucks also claimed Bullhorn Betty threatened him. And she didn't. Everything was on camera.
What certification? Who can vouch for these people? I don't care.
So the PI just wanted to know about searching, and he doesn't want people. Chris Proudfoot doesn't want everybody on his property.
I'm going to do exactly what I have always been doing. You send that to me. Okay, well, we're going to review it, and then we're going to send it to him.
Let me back it up a little bit so you guys can hear it, because I think it's worth listening to. So you can see Trisha get up to get the phone call, and she comes back and she's got Seth on the line right here.
Good.
But Katie and I, are not going to have some big, massive.
Come on.
The communication needs to be a little bit more prompt. If I send you an email on Monday and Tuesday, I'm not willing to wait a week to get a response back. I mean, that's unacceptable when we're trying to find some action, buddy. I understand what you're saying. I respect that. But when it comes to you asking people to come into my house on my property, who I don't know Adam from Eve, and I really don't care what certification, who can vouch for these people, I don't care. I'm going to do exactly what I have always been doing. You send that to me, okay, well, we're going to review it, and then we're going to send it to law enforcement. Let law enforcement go that route, and then when law enforcement comes in,
hold on.
To be on your property.
Hold on, Chris. Chris, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Seth, what did you say?
I said person to be our spokesman to speak for all three of us doesn't need to be on your property.
Okay,
but,
good.
You have spoken. You're very correct. To him. I have spoken to him. And I'm going to make this public. I am back working, and I have work hours. I also have to sleep, and unfortunately, I'm on the opposite schedule of you. So respect that.
Woo! Fireworks, and it just keeps getting worse. Greg Hughes left the panel. I don't know if he just felt like he didn't have anything else he wanted to contribute. Team A, I felt like Trish has it. Let me just pop down here and check in with chat here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything or anyone. Let me see. We're going to finish. We're going to keep going on this because more information is going to be revealed. Amber says, if the cave collapsed, if my son was missing, I would always wonder. Yeah, I think so too. Obstacle course with words. Yep. Everything is just an argument and a fight. And this is Peter Hyatt statement analyst called it. He said he definitely thought that Chris Proudfoot had, liked to argue that he enjoyed it, that he got off on the confrontation. I just wonder how hard it would be to be Sebastian, a special needs, in the house with somebody who is this caustic, and my grandpa would have said ornery. Hey, Jamal. Jamal says, that's what I assume. I've seen that as where you go, but it's pretty hard being out there until the body cam footage was really Andrew says, I don't want anybody where my son was last seen searching. You don't? Deb says, if Chris Proudfoot's goal was to be more likable, he failed miserably. Brother Mike says, Chris Proudfoot doesn't want the dogs to check his yard. I think he's okay with law enforcement. He just doesn't want the private investigators and their dog teams.
He got law enforcement under control. He wants nobody that he cannot control or feels he cannot control, such as the general public, the inquisitive people from the general public, or another dog handler, independent,
or Equisearch or something like that on there. Hey, Tara. Deb says they can always
do I have to move on or what?
Amber says, I don't want dogs anywhere near my house because they're only 25% right. Yeah, but 25% when you're looking for a missing...
Nonsense.
Seth did sit on a panel with Peter Hyatt, who, said some things that, that Chris Proudfoot didn't like about Katie. So, but, I don't know if Seth knew ahead of time what Peter was going to say. I don't know. Love Life says the neighbor knows so much he doesn't even know Chris' wife was doing. That's why he has her in the camper. Amber
Jesus Christ, these people, man.
I just wonder if Sebastian did feel safe in the house with Chris Proudfoot. Did he feel like his mother tells Sebastian he can get in trouble for falsely reporting? It's a door closed behind him. I don't know what to think.
Okay, wait. Okay, go ahead. Please.
I will do what I can, as I can, when I can.
I'm sorry, Seth, go ahead.
When did you speak with him, Chris? What does that got to do with finding Sebastian? If he's going to be our spokesperson, I was just asking when you spoke with him. I haven't come up with an answer yet. We spoke with him. We told him we'll get back with him after we've done consideration and talk with law enforcement. We'll get back to him, and we'll let him know our decision. So I think Seth should just get the spokesperson for himself and move forward. Well, I know you're on board with that. I do. I mean, I know you're 1,000% on board with Mr. Mathis. I got that. I'm not taking that away from you.
So, Chris, I understand like every marriage is different and husband-wife aspect. You seem very protective of Katie and her having conversations with or without you. But like I said before you came on, I do believe that Katie is the one who, and I'm not saying it's because she knows what happened to Sebastian.
Well, she does know what happened to Sebastian. So when somebody says, I'm not saying, that's exactly what they are saying, people. Look at this from a general educational purpose type of angle. I'm not saying anything, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that those people, when people say, I'm not saying that she knows what happened to Sebastian, is a very strong indicator that the person asking this question thinks that Katie has the answers. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to say that. You wouldn't feel the need to put the other party at ease in such a manner. So these are Of course, also red flags among the people who are doing the interviewing, who are not very good at hiding what they really think. But of course, in my opinion, they have a very strong agenda, and they probably had it from the very beginning, possibly even before Seth actually hired them to be private investigators.
One who, and I'm not saying it's because she knows what happened to Sebastian, but she was the last person that was with him. And so she does hold the most information, at least up until the point that he went missing.
What information do you think she holds?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
You see, now Chris Foot wants the evidence. He wants to know what they know. What information do you think she holds? I would say, really? No, we don't know. She doesn't know anything. We don't know anything. We want to know. But he much rather wants to deny that she knows anything and have a conversation about this. He should be interested in finding where Sebastian is. So he should have already asked her, what happened? What do you know? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks information there is. He should be interested in getting more information and sharing whatever information she has very freely.
Well, then do me a favor. Let's just get to it.
Okay.
Don't pour gravy on the mashed potatoes. Just serve the stuff up.
Chris, I'm
Don't put gravy on the mashed potatoes. Just stir the stuff up.
really trying to be respectful, and this is a very...
I am too. So please just get to it.
Okay.
No,
So...
And dare I say, what Sebastian and what happened to him is a big joke to all of them. Except for Seth, of course. But Seth, of course, has to be stronger here, man. Sorry to say it.
We would really love to hear from Katie about his body language that day. We've heard from others who are not necessarily good sources about his body language at the bowling alley and his body language here and there. And so we're just really trying to pick up on Sebastian's mood, because it could help us understand what led to him walking away off the front porch out the front door.
Which he didn't.
Well, that is something that, if she decides to answer, that's on her. But what I know...
Oh my gosh, your son is missing. Get on the phone. You know she's probably sitting right there, right? Didn't she say she was accompanying him? I'm moving this forward a little bit because he just is ornery and belligerent, in my opinion. He just goes round and round. But Seth brings up the fact that there's a rumor that the Chris Proudfoot family may have Sebastian, and Chris Proudfoot does address it. And I do want to try to be fair to Chris Proudfoot too, even though I just feel like he is not helping himself here. In my opinion, there's a reason people prefer Seth over Chris Proudfoot, and a lot of it is just behaviors like this, like what we're seeing, and the way that he talks to women, and it just makes me wonder how Sebastian was getting spoken to.
And off the tape, period. That's the same statement law enforcement has made. That's the same statement I'm going to tell you every single day in and day out.
Katie gave my son to your mother and brother. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Say it one more time.
Yes, one more time.
Do you not want to say that? But we can move on. So
No. I want to hear it.
Why does she want to move on? Oh my god. Web Sleuth is just a trashy channel. He's talking about the rumor that Chris's parents have Sebastian, and I want to hear what Chris has to say, but his pattern, he doesn't let go. He don't overlook anything. If he gets it, he wants to get to it.
There's a rumor out there, Chris, that your mama and your dad have Sebastian. It's been brought up to me.
Seth, you know darn good well you got a question about my
I'm just asking.
You pick up the
They
phone.
take me somewhere and send me to boot camp or anything like that, and just thought I wouldn't accept it.
I don't think Seth is being accusatory. I think he's just trying to clear up a bunch of BS that's been online.
Right, and I'm trying, and I'm telling you.
He is not doing that. He has heard a rumor and he wants to clear it up. Because Seth, as expected, the father of a missing child, is expected to want to look at all possibility, not for the purpose of accusing anybody of anything, not for the purpose of so-called hate, but because everything that hasn't been examined yet, it is natural for him, like a search dog, to go after that and examine it, meaning the possibility that Sebastian could be on the properties of the Bauer Saxes. It's eating on him because that has not been cleared. They haven't had search dogs on their properties, cadaver dogs or tracking dogs. Or cadaver dogs go into all of their cars, from what I understand. The Bauer Saxes have not been cleared. It is absolutely natural for Seth to want to know about that. And he doesn't need to be apologetic about that. He should just go for it. Period.
If he's had this suspicion, he's got my mother's phone number. He can pick up the phone.
If you suspect your mama, I don't want to call your mama. I want to call your law enforcement or whoever can get right there. I don't take their word on it. Oh no, we didn't. And we all know how Kathy Bauer Sachs speaks. She's going to be deceptive, dismissive, and she's going to avoid anything specific. So that's not going to do much good. What is he intending to do? To have a private conversation and talk him out of his own ideas? That's not how you investigate a possible lead, even if it's only a rumor. Remember, you said all tips need to go to law enforcement, all tips. This is what I have previously said from the very beginning, almost the very beginning. This is where I would look next.
And call her. She is not afraid to
No,
answer
I'm not saying you.
Of course, she's not afraid to talk to Seth in private, but maybe Seth, if you want to call them, why don't you record it and give it to me to analyze?
I want to talk to your mom. I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to Katie.
Right.
Well, it's real simple, Seth.
To put it to the rest.
You have seen the video footage of Seth on Sunday. Don't tell me you hadn't. I know you have. You sat in a room with all the agents.
No, they didn't show me the video footage, buddy.
So you didn't see, you weren't sitting in a room with law enforcement, the district attorney.
I believe Seth. If they didn't show him the video, that's very possible. I don't think law enforcement wants Seth to know too much because they screwed up, which Chris and Katie are very happy about, but Seth is not, obviously. And they're using Tony Mattis to keep him at arm's length, making Seth think something is being done when it still is not.
When they showed you a video, when you wanted proof of life, saying that you hadn't seen proof since Friday, when you've been at my house the first 3 damn days.
You see, he's going after something easily to debunk, which is, yes, we got the TRH footage, but we need to know more. That doesn't mean your parents didn't have something to do with it.
Let Seth speak. Go ahead, Seth.
Chris, they showed me video proof of him coming out of Exodus Roadhouse.
Okay.
On Sunday.
On a Sunday night. You damn right.
Just
Wait, Not Sunday night. I mean, it was, 7 p.m.? Are you trying to let us know Sunday night nothing happened?
Chris.
Seth, I got a problem with you sitting here making these accusations. Because if you got a problem with them, guess what?
Let's squash it.
All Seth is trying to do is clear up some of the rumors, not make an accusation. But again, this goes back to, I really do think that Chris Proudfoot enjoys this. I really do. I really do. I think
Doesn't
he's
matter.
enjoying it. We've all known people that love to have a good but love to have an argument. They love to argue about anything. You say
Wrong.
the sky's blue, they'll tell you it's green. They just
Shut up. This is not what it's about.
like to be contrarians. So, I just...
No, that's not what it's about. He goes after something that comes too close to home. That's what his pattern is.
think that all he's trying to do is clear up this rumor. He just wants to know, well, what can I move forward?
It's actually not just a rumor for him. It is a lead. It's one of many possibilities. It's a possibility for him. So don't dismiss what Seth is actually trying to say here. Even though Seth is toning himself down a little too much, in my opinion. But he doesn't... Anyways.
On what can I put to bed? And instead of just giving him a straight answer, my parents do not have him, he gives this tap dance.
He never says my parents don't have him. He never says my parents... Did he say his parents have nothing to do with it? Did he actually make this reliable denial?
You already know. Which, must be torturous if you have a child that's missing.
He doesn't know. He wouldn't ask if he knew. Okay, he saw him coming out of Texas Roadhouse at 7. All right. That's the last time he's seen his son.
I think we're just trying to talk things out, and I don't even know if
Honestly.
Okay, here's all the public knowledge you need on this deal. Law enforcement has talked to my parents, my whole family. Once again, the statement is true, what law enforcement says. Just because you hear a rumor doesn't make it true.
I don't think he said it was true. I think he's just trying to clarify.
That's not clarifying. No.
This is so pathetic. The moderators are so pathetic. So pathetic. And again, this is why Seth should pick bigger channels. He should go on nationwide TV. And of course, the Proudfoot's lawyers will squash what they can, but he needs to state simply facts that make him think that something needs to be re-examined.
Stop sitting here trying to defend his actions. Stop.
Okay.
The fact is, Chris, is I'm trying to squash the rumor. We're both here. Squashing the rumor.
Seth, there is no rumor. You know my parents were not with...
You said just a few seconds ago, it's a rumor. And now you say there is no rumor.
Katie.
There is a rumor. There has been a rumor going around social media that I've seen it in my questions in the comment section. So just to be clear, Chris Proudfoot is going to say that his parents do not have Sebastian.
On Sunday.
All I'm doing, Chris.
No, you're causing a problem because you know damn good and well where my parents were at their house on Sunday night. They weren't near Katie. They weren't near Sebastian. And if you got a problem, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call her. Be an adult. Be a responsible adult. And just call her.
Chris. Can you hear me, Chris?
Oh, I can hear you.
Because all I'm hearing is anger and attitude from you. What I'm
And
trying
you should, Seth. You should. Because what you're doing is bullshit and you know it.
So this is how he talks to another adult.
Yeah, shut up.
So again, I'm just going to ask this question. How did Sebastian feel in this household? Holy moly.
Stop. People are talking over each other.
Enough.
Seth, go, and then Chris, go. Please, Seth, and then Chris. Thank you.
Chris, a unified front squashes rumors together. That's all I am stating.
Okay, Chris.
there's a rumor floating around, and I would like us to squash it.
Yeah, I think that is a great rumor to try to squash. That one's on Facebook, and the rumor is actually that about...
Just because it's on Facebook doesn't make it any less of a possibility, because yes, Facebook is full of crap, but sometimes something that makes a ton of sense actually is being leaked right there.
Your mom, her car being parked at like Worshams and him getting in.
Okay, so here's the answer. The final answer to this.
It's not just an online rumor, because people have driven up to me and personally spoken about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I make the statement?
I wish
This is very simple. This conversation
Let's see if he makes an actual statement.
has nothing to do on social media. You want to have this conversation, Seth? You call me, you get Heather, you get Chloe on the phone. Hell, I'll do you one better, and I will get Bobby and Carter on the phone, and we'll all sit down and have this little fucking powwow.
You can hear the clapping. That's Chris Proudfoot clapping, emphasizing this point. So what did Sebastian feel like? Because to me, I'm like finding this very hard to listen to. It's very, very hard to listen to.
we're not going to have a powwow like that. But I would.
Well, then guess what?
The situation, and I would love for it to be private, because I believe a lot of what is happening right now should not be public.
So explain to me why you don't want Bobby and Carter involved.
Bobby and Carter are two people that Chris Proudfoot feels very comfortable with, because he doesn't think they're after him. He feels like he has law enforcement under control. He doesn't have the public under control. He doesn't have common sense under control. And he is using law enforcement to give the illusion that there's absolutely nothing to look at when it comes to his family.
I didn't say I didn't want Bobby and Carter involved. I said I was referring to your tone, which is very angry.
Oh, I'm very pissed.
I know that.
No life.
I think we just all need to take a breath, because no one is accusing anyone of anything. We are trying to dispel.
I am.
Oh, there's a rumor.
Dispelling these things will take
You're so full of
some
shit.
of the BS off of you.
Whoa. That was uncalled for.
No.
And Chris, I mean, I do understand your anger, but I know these ladies.
He actually said it when Seth just said something. It's just a rumor, and he said, "You're so full of it." And yeah, Seth is full of it at the moment, because if he thought it was only a rumor, Seth wouldn't be so interested in it. Seth thinks it's more than a rumor, but he's using the term rumor in order to sort of sweet talk everybody and hide behind the curtain of innocence, so to speak, in terms of like, well, I'm kind of just a victim of the rumor mill, so, but in reality, there's a reason why he's bringing it up. Because he has certain suspicions, including Chris Proudfoot's parents. And as I've said, I understand this 100%. And I would never dismiss this as only a rumor. I would call it a claim, not a rumor.
I don't know Seth. I just know what I've seen. But these ladies are not full of shit.
I didn't say they're full of shit. I was referring to Seth being full of shit with his comment.
He did, yeah.
Well, that doesn't help matters.
No, it doesn't. So when you brought him on the show and he wants to start this shit, that isn't going to answer question.
Hear how belligerent this is. Peter Hyatt called it. He called it before we saw this side of Chris Proudfoot. Before we saw this side of Chris Proudfoot publicly, which is, kudos to Trish and Webster.
No, not kudos to these
people. They kept the conversation going.
Shut up.
She kept the conversation going.
Shut up.
We got to see this side, and
don't water it down.
Camera, on TV. He knew this was being aired. So
I don't get it. Yes, she says many times, we understand how it must have been for Sebastian to be there in this house. I understand. But so let's move towards the people who have caused this, who have allowed Sebastian to live under these conditions, who were Katie and Sebastian, Katie and Chris.
What is he like when he's not on the air? When he's not on the air. We're going to continue on with this in just a second. I just need to catch my breath for a minute. Let me check in with chat. Marcia says he doesn't really care.
I don't care. Shut up.
We don't need to listen to Chris Proudfoot yelling.
Oh, why not?
I can't. I've already watched this one time.
You all are playing one-sided here.
Woo.
No, we're not.
I don't think that's fair.
So then tell Seth when I'm talking, let me finish.
Okay, Seth, let him finish.
Yes, Seth, please.
Again, no denial. He's making no denial that his parents had anything to do with it, or that his mother wasn't at Worshams that morning.
Let him finish.
There's conversations you've had that should have never been out in the public light, and you know it. And because you did that, it started a lot of rumors. Own it, accept it, and move on from it. I told you on Sunday, I supported you. I would be there for you no matter what, how ugly this got. But I'm not going to stand by and watch you disrespect me, my family, my wife, or anybody for that matter. A lot of rumors got started because you went on social media and you opened your mouth and said some things you shouldn't have said. Accept it. I'll show you the videos. You don't need to show me the videos. Now, in hindsight, that is a conversation you and I need to have offline, away from everybody else, in our own private conversation.
Peter Hyatt called it. Statement analyst who works for law enforcement said that he was belligerent, and he said about Chris Proudfoot, and he enjoyed it.
You and I,
in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and opinions are not facts.
Okay.
But I think he enjoys it, and he's enjoying the argument, which is really, really makes me wonder what was going on in the house.
I'm gonna throw up.
What
Please,
was going on in that phone call with Katie, that 3-hour call? Did Sebastian hear it? Was Chris Proudfoot on speakerphone talking like this?
Sit down and we can talk. Literally, please. You had people watch us doing it Sunday at that vigil.
Well,
they were snapping pictures because they were trying to get some juicy information.
Let's answer. We move on to the question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's. There's a question here in chat, and I've heard this. And Chris, this is a good one I'd like to clear up. Okay. Is it true that Chris told Seth, "You will find your son at church"?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's
what he stated was, if I went to church, maybe I'd find my son.
Oh.
So in other words, if you went to church and talked to the Lord, is that what you were saying,
yes,
Chris?
That is what the whole conversation in reference was.
We know all.
Go to a church and you.
Yeah, that's what Cassie Bowersox does. Go to church and tell them a bunch of lies. Get the congregation against Nina and so on, or against Nina.
Hold on, Seth. I'm sorry, Chris. Finish. I'm sorry.
I'm talking because why? I understand. I see where people got that.
Right.
But that is a conversation that Seth and I had privately. I'm sorry, but we're not going to sit here and drag certain things into this. It has nothing to do with it.
I actually think that this is a very interesting statement. Very interesting statement. I think it's a very interesting statement that he told Seth, Chris Proudfoot did, that he would, if he went to church, he would find his son.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very interesting. I'm just going to back it up. I want to just hear this exchange one more time, then we'll move on.
Do you want of videos where you have gone out there and you've said some very harsh things that should never have come out? You never should have. And now, don't take this the wrong way. That is a conversation for later.
Here's the point, bud.
Let me finish.
Things that I put out there.
Once again, you can't talk to a fucking log.
Okay, wait. Okay,
Chris,
so
Let me finish.
Chris, that's not productive.
It's not. So let me finish. You are playing one-sided here.
What an idiot.
no, we're not.
I don't think that's fair.
So then tell Seth when I'm talking, let me finish.
Okay, Seth, let him finish.
Yes, Seth, please let him finish.
He doesn't need this much time. He needs to give us the reliable denial saying my parents had nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance, but he cannot do that. He isn't able to give this reliable denial. He's beating around the bushes again and again and again.
Conversations you've had that should have never been out in the public light, and you know it. And because you did that, it
Because he feels he can control law enforcement and they're not eager to solve it, but the public is. He's afraid of the public.
started a lot of rumors. Own it, accept it, and move on from it. I told you on Sunday, I supported you. I would be there for you no matter what. How
Be there for him in terms of finding out what happened to his son. It's very simple, right? He feels the need to say he supports Seth because he doesn't. Otherwise, he would show with actions that he supports Seth and would say, okay, let's get the dogs out. Let's examine everything. So me and my parents can be cleared once and for all. That's what is expected from somebody who wants law enforcement to go full force on where a missing child is. All relatives need to be cleared 100%. And that means you need to have access to the properties, or at least, so send the dogs out. Clear them so law enforcement has to be pushed to find out where Sebastian went. But he doesn't want to do that. He is hiding everything that has to do with his parents, everything within this 10-mile radius. And he is afraid of what he calls a rumor, which I consider a claim.
ugly this got.
Do you think Chris Proudfoot is supporting Seth and being there for Seth no matter what? If you do, put a 1 in the chat. If you think Chris Proudfoot is supporting Seth no matter what, put a 1 in the chat. If you think he is not supporting Seth no matter what, put a 2 in the chat.
But I'm not going to stand by and watch you disrespect me, my family, my wife, or anybody for that matter. A lot of rumors got started because you went on social media and you opened your mouth and said something you shouldn't have said. Accept it. I'll show you the videos. Now, in hindsight, that is a conversation you and I need to have offline,
No.
away from everybody else.
Shouldn't. No, it needs to be in public because you will just yell at Seth and Seth will give in. And that's not going to help.
Own private conversation. You and I, we sit down and we can talk. Literally, please. You had people watch us doing it Sunday at that vigil.
Julia, is this actual web sleuth video still up, or has it been removed, or is it in a private, or has it been members only, or what? Because I think I will continue this for 100%, but not through the reporter room, because I just want to have the statements that Chris is giving here. Because I'm looking still. I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. My approach is like that. They have to talk me out of it. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. And when I approach any type of statement, I'm assuming they will tell me the truth, but I allow them to talk me out of it. and Chris is doing it. He's not able to reliably say, no, my mom was not there at Worshams. My parents have nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance. And Sebastian is not on any of my family's properties, be it him alive or be it his body that has been gotten rid of.
And people watch us doing it Sunday at that vigil.
Well,
They were snapping pictures because they were trying to get some juicy information.
No, they were trying to figure out what happened to your son, Zepson.
Patricia,
Let's answer.
we move on to the question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, there's a question here in chat, and I've heard this, and Chris, this is a good one I'd like to clear up. Is it true that Chris told Seth, you will find your son at church?
No,
Okay,
no.
that's
What
it.
he stated was if I went to church, maybe I'd find my son.
So in other words, if you went and
Again, the Webster's people are idiots who not only don't remember things too well, but don't even try. There are people who are not that clever, not that bright, but they still can do a pretty good job if they show some ambition. If they have the intention to figure things out and take their time to make sure that they are relaying accurate information. But as I have said from the very beginning, there was something wrong here with how Seth even met these people to begin with. Something was very wrong. And I've often said, maybe Chris and Katie have something on Seth. I don't know, that he doesn't become a little more stern about things. Are they not very serious? They're not very bright. They're not very serious about this. It's like let's screw him with a soft one, if I may say it in such a coarse type of way. The way that they are talking in Seth's presence shows that they have no respect for Seth, no respect for Sebastian or the case. They are coming on completely unprepared, completely dismissive, completely, how do you say it? Jesus Christ, now I'm losing my track here. Completely uninterested. There's no investigative curiosity whatsoever. They want to get the conversation, they want to keep it going on that channel, and they're not trying. They're not saying, okay, Chris, can you please give us some evidence? Tell us straight up. Give us a reliable statement. Did your parents have anything to do with this? Because he won't do it. He won't volunteer it on his own. That's the first thing I would say. Chris, to your knowledge, do your parents have anything to do with the disappearance of Sebastian? And anything others say no. And anything other than no. No, they don't. If you count a handful of words or more after that, you already know he's got something to hide. He feels a need to persuade. And the fact that he is unwilling to go straight to it. If somebody accuses you of something and you're innocent, you don't beat around the bush. You said, what? No, I did not. No, they did not. My parents had nothing to do with this. Why? Because I know. Because I'm 100% convinced. But he is not convinced. Because in my opinion, he knows of some sort of an involvement. Which is why I keep saying that if I had the choice, that would be where the search dogs should go. That should be where we search. That would be the place when they talk about everything has been searched within the 10-mile radius. No. Thoroughly searched. Specific areas. Even as Terry asked, be very specific. Where would you search that professionals haven't already searched or something like that? And I would say a thorough search of your property and your cars. Chris cannot give a reliable denial and a reliable confirmation that to the best of his knowledge, he knows or honestly believes his parents had nothing to do with any of this.
So in other words, if you went to church and talked to the Lord, is that what you were saying, Chris?
Yes, that is the whole.
You'd find Sebastian in church because he passed away. And you could basically attend church like a funeral. That's what he's trying to tell him. To find some peace, lay him to rest, and let it go. That's what Chris would like Seth to do. And again, Seth has a lot more power than he's probably aware of. He could raise a lot more hell if he didn't let Tony tell him that law enforcement is working hard on it and it's getting close, which they're not. Seth can do a lot more. As the father, he is the one, and he's already made a strong impact. Even on this crappy AMW special, he made a very strong impact. His appearance, even the women on the channel said, wow, the father. You could feel it. And could you ever? But now step it up and put some pressure on these people.
Conversation in reference was, you can go to a church and you'll find her.
Hold on, Seth. I'm sorry, Chris, finish. I'm sorry.
I'm talking because why? I understand. I see where people got that.
Right.
But that is a conversation that Seth and I had privately. I'm sorry, but we're not.
Let me guess where the private conversation went. Seth repeated a claim, you called it a rumor, kept on shouting, and the conversation went nowhere. And now you're afraid, because when Seth takes it public, he has some backup from stronger people who won't let go and who will speak on his behalf. And some of these people you are afraid of, Chris Foot.
Don't sit here and drag certain things into this. It has nothing to do with it.
Of course, Chris doesn't want to talk about that because either way you say that, if you go to the church, you'll find your son would actually be better if he was actually at the church. But
procrastination isn't your fault. It's a broken.
It would actually be better if he was actually at the church. But telling Seth that he has to go to the church and to talk to his son, but it's not to find him, it to me is actually worse. What do you guys think? Let me scroll down here. We're doing a poll.
I don't care about your stupid poll. I can already tell.
Chris, you are not the victim. Intimidation has worked for Ms. Nunez says
oh my God.
Two. The first time I heard it. Yeah, it bothers me too. And the fact that he's saying that he wasn't saying that Sebastian was there, to me, doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it better. And Kimmy says this was the norm under that roof. I'm worried about that.
Okay, shut up. Yes, the church reference. Sebastian needs to be laid to rest. Like a wake, like a funeral. To find peace. Like people do when somebody has passed away. That's the hint. Yeah, Julia, if you have the direct one from Web Sleuth, please send it to me again. You'll probably send it to me already. Thank you so much, because I do want to go through I want to finish the whole thing. But I don't need the reporter room. I don't need her to read comments from people saying, what if an alien picked up Seth? And, why would she even read something like that? Come on, dude. I mean, seriously.
It's not productive and it's upsetting.
Weeks later, instead of the moment that they come in, when you get these tips, you call 911, you call TBI, you don't call these PIs, you don't call Seth, you don't call us, you just call the law enforcement agency.
And I have a different take on it. I feel like some people don't want to talk to law enforcement. And if they don't feel like they can talk to law enforcement, it should be your first choice, which is why, because not everybody feels.
And I think, because of all of the noise, people have not been reminded to continuously search their properties.
Who
And
is this?
like I said before,
What
everybody else
properties?
came on here. There's
What properties? Oh my God. Oh my God, these random searches. No, people. We already have analyzed enough to know where to look.
a lot of really large, at the local level, for acres and acres of.
He believes he could be very, our VIP, Jane, I got to take down the scrolling button, but subscribing help. And I also.
Exactly the same thing law enforcement's been pushing. If you're not comfortable searching, call law enforcement. They, I'm sure, can work in getting a team out there to search the property. Please, everybody is searching. Do not. I can't stress this enough. Please do not just walk on private property without having prior permission. Please.
By the way, there's comments in chat and we're removing them. Chris has been searching. Okay, he has been searching. Just because you don't see him searching, because you personally don't see him, doesn't mean he's not searching.
No, he hasn't.
So that needs to.
So you're fine on her G-shots. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay, so Trish is saying that Chris Proudfoot.
You people keep faith that we will find some action. I don't know.
And nobody is saying that he is. As if you've been watching the show, you know that's not. Nobody's saying that. But I have not been.
I don't know what people's mindset are right now. But it doesn't need to be about me. It doesn't need to be about Chris. It needs to be about Sebastian. Sebastian is the goal. Sebastian is what is lost. Sebastian is what needs to be found.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure you are.
And you can hear Seth is crying here. He's literally crying.
It's probably easier for me.
I am so sorry.
My son is missing. I need people to continue with the flyers, as Chris said. BBI has already stated that most of their tips do come in from flyers. I have 100% faith that the humanity still exists out here, but we can come together. Heads up, eyes open, see something, say something. Contact FBI, contact TBI, call 911 for your local. Tell them that, you think you just saw the missing child from Hendersonville, Tennessee. Get them on it. All right? At the same point in time, if you feel that they're not doing it, you just fix it. Law enforcement is short-handed. All it takes for evil things to exist is good men do nothing.
Yeah, he says law enforcement is short-handed. That's true, but they also ignored his phone calls when he wanted to turn in the glasses. So what is their priority, actually? But at least it shows that Seth is having second thoughts about law enforcement here, which, of course, Tony said, Seth, they are looking at somebody, right? He's trying to talk him out of it. But as a father, he fears. You don't, as a father of a missing child, simply lean back and rely on law enforcement. Nobody is going to be more serious about your missing child than you. So he's doing it right, or he did it right at the time, but he wasn't very forceful with that. And Chris Proudfoot overshadowed him every single time. So can you imagine when they have a private conversation? It doesn't matter what Seth is going to bring up. It's not going to go anywhere.
Men's good, females do. I'm not, it's just for evil that exists and continue, if good people they do nothing.
Well, good people shouldn't just randomly search, but the good people, what's that saying? Sometimes you got to be the wolf so you can be the lamb. Sometimes you have to be the wolf so you can be the lamb. And it's time for you to be the wolf, Seth, and really go after who you know is responsible. No matter how much Tony Mattis and law enforcement lied to you, allegedly, possibly. Think about that for a minute. It's better than allowing Tony to write something, everything goes through me, I call the shots on your behalf, because you don't have a freaking idea where to look. Or you do, but you don't want to say it because you allowed Christopher to talk you out of it. Say what was on your mind. Has your question been cleared? Has the so-called rumor been cleared up that his parents had something to do with it? Don't call Tony now if you hear this and say, what do you think? Ask yourself this question. And if the answer is anything except, yes, it's been cleared up, then go for that, rather than wasting people's times and efforts, mindlessly going through the property. Sebastian, no, we need to go exactly where everything leads, in my opinion. So just because Chris Foot shouted you down doesn't mean you say, Tony, please fix this. And it was offensive, in my opinion, that letter that Tony sent, that you sent out, on which I believe Tony wrote for you. Everything goes through me. I make the decisions, telling people they cannot do anything without you. Get the hell out of here. You don't have a clue. You better be grateful that there are people who take effort, who see things clearer than you do. Because here you let Chris Ford talk you out of everything that makes actual sense. So if you want to live like this and be a baby and only come on and next thing Tony logs on and you say, sorry, Tony, because you say the wrong thing, get out of here, man. Seriously. Yes, good people need to stand up. And you are one of them who needs, one of the people, you are somebody who needs to stand up. I don't know if you're good or not. I don't know Seth, but I know you miss your son. And I know you had nothing to do with it. And I know you want to find Sebastian. You have nothing to hide, so stop hiding behind people.
I don't fall into the simplicity. On your way to work, on your way to the corner store, on your way to Walmart, you might see my son.
Absolutely right.
And I need you to say something. I need you to call 911 immediately.
I do think it's possible that he ran away. I really do.
No, he didn't. Shut up.
To run away? A coat or... Okay, what do you guys think? Seth crying. Seth sounds exhausted. Yeah, you're right, Leslie. He does.
Oh, my God. So now I'm sorry about all of these silly guesses. We should be way past. And Julia, yes, if you find the original web sleuth, anything original, without comments on it, because I need the statements, only the statements. And so to sum it up, Chris Proudfoot never denied that his parents had anything to do with it. He never denied that Sebastian could be on either any of the properties and his mom could have been seen at Worsham's that morning. He didn't deny, he was not able to give us the reliable denial. To reliably tell us that he does not believe for this to have possibly happened. And that's where we need to look, people. And you're going to see a lot more BS coming, possibly with Netflix and so on and so on. And it's going to lead nowhere except Tony Mattis will make a lot of money. Seth, I don't know what Seth is doing. Seth will just listen to him. Sebastian will not be found. Nobody will be held responsible. And what Sebastian will turn into is a very profitable brand for a lot of people. And it will be considered a mystery decades from now. We know what happened. We know. So pass on whatever you have learned. And again, I'm not going to examine again a video where some people, a video of commenting on another video. I'm not going to react to a reaction video again because that is just too much. But I just saw this one and I caught parts of it and I said, I need to get to these parts because I think they're very important. So I've already said what I think needs to be done next. Certain properties need to be searched. And until that is done, or we find a way to get this done, the answers will not come. I'm Mike the Man, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this video on your social media outlets.